In the heart of Europe, a tech champion was born. Germany's answer to Silicon Valley, a company called Wirecard. They weren't just a company. They were a symbol of German innovation, the future of digital payments, a titan of industry valued at over 24 billion euros. Think about that. In 2018, Wirecard, a tech startup, kicked the 100-year-old Commerzbank out of Germany's prestigious DAX 30 index. They were more valuable than Deutsche Bank. This wasn't just a stock, it was a statement that Germany, a nation built on old-world manufacturing and automotive giants, could finally compete in the global tech race. Then, in June 2020, the future vanished. Wirecard announced that 1.9 billion euros simply didn't exist. This isn't just a story of a missing number. This is a story of national delusion, regulatory failure, systemic corruption, and a high-stakes game of international espionage. This is how Wirecard fooled Germany and the world. Founded in 1999, Wirecard wasn't glamorous. It started in the shadows, processing payments for online gambling and adult websites. The dirty work of the internet, the transactions other banks wouldn't touch. But under the leadership of its enigmatic CEO, Markus Braun, an Austrian visionary with a signature black turtleneck, Wirecard began a spectacular transformation. They claimed to have revolutionary technology, a complex global network processing transactions from Asia to America. They were a fintech, a growth machine, and oh, how they grew. Year after year, they reported explosive profits, supposedly coming from third-party partners in Asia, in places like the Philippines, Singapore, and Dubai. It was a complex and deliberately opaque business model. They called it third-party acquiring. In reality, it was a black box. Investors loved it. Regulators protected it. The German government hailed it as a national hero. But there was one problem. A small group of journalists, led by Dan McCrum at the Financial Times, started asking questions. The numbers just didn't add up. For years, McCrum was a lone voice in the dark. He investigated Wirecard's mysterious Asian partners and found ghost offices, shell companies, and phantom profits. He alleged that a huge portion of Wirecard's business was a complete fabrication. He published his findings. And what did Wirecard do? They didn't just deny it. They attacked. They accused the journalists of market manipulation. They hired private investigators and former intelligence agents to harass, intimidate, and spy on them. This was corporate warfare. McCrum and his colleagues were followed. Their contacts were threatened. They were accused of conspiring with short sellers to bring down a German hero. And Germany's own financial regulator, BaFin. What did they do? Did they investigate the multi-billion-dollar company? They launched a criminal investigation against the journalists. In 2019, BaFin even took the unprecedented step of banning short selling of Wirecard stock, effectively protecting the fraud and attacking the truth. This protection came from the very top. Wirecard had powerful friends. The company's COO, Jan Marsalek, was the spider at the center of this web, a man with shadowy connections to Russian intelligence agencies, a man who seemed to live in a spy novel. While Braun played the visionary CEO, Marsalek built the illusion. He allegedly bragged about running a shadow army in Libya and even claimed to possess documents on the Russian nerve agent Novichok. He cultivated politicians, billionaires, and spies. This was no longer a tech company. This was a criminal enterprise, protected by national pride and regulatory incompetence for 10 years. 10 years. The auditing giant, Ernst & Young, EY, signed off on Wirecard's accounts. Year after year, they approved the books, giving the company a clean bill of health, all while the 1.9 billion euros was never really there. How? They accepted forged documents. They accepted screenshots as proof of billions. They failed to do the most basic thing. They could call the banks in the Philippines to see if the money was actually there. For a decade, they failed. The house of cards finally collapsed in June 2020. A new audit by KPMG raised too many red flags. The pressure was too high. EY finally, after a decade, refused to approve the 2019 accounts. Why? The 1.9 billion euros, supposedly held in trust accounts in the Philippines, was fake. Auditors flew to the Philippines, and the banks had never even heard of Wirecard? The documents were forgeries. Within 48 hours, Wirecard's 24 billion euro valuation evaporated. The company admitted that the 1.9 billion likely never existed. CEO Markus Braun, the man in the turtleneck, was arrested. He claimed he was the victim, a victim of his own COO. The company was bankrupt. It was the most spectacular financial collapse in modern German history. The national hero was a national disgrace, but this story is not over. Markus Braun is in prison, awaiting trial, claiming his innocence. But his puppet master, the COO with the spy connections, Jan Marsalek, he vanished. Moments before the collapse, he chartered a private jet from Austria, flew to Belarus, and disappeared. He is now one of the world's most wanted men, believed to be hiding in plain sight in Moscow, under the protection of the Russian state. The 1.9 billion was never found. The regulators who failed were quietly reassigned. The EY auditors face lawsuits, and the journalists who told the truth are still looking over their shoulders. The Wirecard scandal leaves us with one terrifying question. Was this just a simple greedy fraud? Or was Germany's brightest tech company a front for a Russian intelligence operation?